Discover 12 spine-chilling Texas horror stories, cursed secrets revealed. Don't watch alone. Lisa pushed through the door of her small suburban home, dropping her keys with a clatter that echoed through the silence. The familiar scent of tired takeout mingled with the faint smell of lavender from the kids' room. Exhaustion clung to her bones, a heavy shroud after another late shift at the diner. As she kicked off her shoes and aimed for the soothing embrace of her couch, her phone buzzed violently, jolting her with unexpected fervor. An unknown number flooded her screen with chilling messages. "There's a wolf in sheep's clothing among you." Panic squeezed her throat. Who was playing this sick joke? But as she dismissed it, unease slithered through her. Nothing felt right. The warmth of her home began to fray at the edges. Shadows shifted in the corners of her vision, and noises pulsed through the walls like whispers growing louder each night. Dogs in the neighborhood vanished, the faces of her cheerful neighbors turned colder. Among them, Mr. Caldwell stood out. He was kind, often offering to watch the kids, but his knowledge of their daily lives made her skin crawl. A smile that dipped just a fraction too long, laughter gnawing at the edges of something sinister. As one sunless evening followed another, Lisa noticed remnants in her yard, torn bits of toys that didn't belong to her children. The soft thuds of her heart echoed in her ears as each day yielded more muddy footprints leading straight to her door, only to vanish into the night. The idea that her beloved neighborhood, once so familiar, was cloaked in dread turned her stomach. She reached out to fellow moms only to find they too were cloaked in fear, receiving the same ominous messages. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The legends of the area consumed her every thought. Tales of a beloved figure. The venerated Mr. Caldwell flipped over like a coin to reveal a dark side, a predator cloaked in decency. Each horror story felt like tendrils of poison wrapping tighter around her heart. She resolved to confront him, knowing full well the danger he posed. Standing at her doorstep, every fiber of her being screamed at her to turn back, but determination poured into her veins. Mr. Caldwell approached, his gaze heavy, and the conversation spiraled downward into shadows. Tension thick in the air, words wheezed out as she peered into his startling blue eyes. Just when the grip of fear delivered its cold clutch around her, she uncovered something horrifying about Mr. Caldwell, a gut-wrenching truth tying him directly to the haunting whispers and missing pets. Backing away, each step felt as if the ground might shatter beneath her. A horrendous ping echoed in her pocket, her heart racing as she read the final warning: "You're too close to the truth, Lisa. Trust no one. The wolf is closer than you think." A chill snaked down her spine. She grasped for the door, desperate, eyes widened. The night wrapped around her, and the reality loomed. The terror had only just begun. Heart pounding, Lisa slammed the door behind her, locking it with shaky hands. The room felt like a prison now, yet it provided a thin veil of safety. She turned and leaned against the cool wood, pressing her back to it as if it might somehow shield her from the threat that lingered outside. Mr. Caldwell's words still echoed in her mind, his voice a ghostly whisper twisting in the depths of her thoughts. She hurried to the kitchen, reaching for her phone. Maybe there was anything that could explain the darkness creeping into her life. The messages seemed unrelenting. Each warning was crafted in a way that made her skin crawl, like the sinister laughter of someone lurking just out of sight. "The wolf is closer than you think." She cursed under her breath. This wasn't a game. Her heart raced with a primal need to protect her children. "Get it together, Lisa," she whispered, shaking her head. "You need to think." She glanced toward the kids' room. They were oblivious to the nightmare brewing outside their walls. A sense of calm washed over her, however fleeting it might be. She forced a deep breath, focusing on the real stake at hand. She needed to figure out how Mr. Caldwell was connected to the disappearances. Surely he couldn't keep up appearances if she gathered evidence. As she flipped through her phone's contacts, her hand trembled. No more games. She dialed Emily, her closest friend, trying to suppress the electric buzz of panic swirling in her chest. You have to come over. It's urgent, she said, her voice low and urgent, full of the fear that had taken root within her. I'll be there in 10, Emily replied, her tone reflecting the serious undertone of the moment. Lisa hung up, breathing a ragged sigh. In her restless pacing, she caught sight of her reflection in the hallway mirror. Shadows danced across her face, creasing it with lines of distress. She rubbed her eyes and glanced out the window, peering through the curtain into the enveloping darkness. The street was lit by an ominous glow, each flicker of the light seeming to mock her. The wind whispered secrets to the trees, rustling branches like fingers rubbing against skin, sending goosebumps crawling up her arms. Each creak of the house felt louder than thunder. She strained her ears, catching the soft whimper of a dog in the distance, triggering memories of the pets that had vanished. The cries melded into the shadowy whispers enveloping the air around her. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. She jumped, her heart a rabbit trapped in a snare. Lisa. It's me. Emily's voice broke the spell. She rushed to the door, swinging it open wide. Her friend's face reflected anxiety, her eyes searching Lisa's for answers. Before Emily could say anything, Lisa tugged her inside and closed the door, bolting it behind her. You won't believe what's going on. I don't know who to trust, Lisa stammered, glancing around the room as if the walls themselves might have ears. Is it Mr. Caldwell? Emily's voice lowered, obvious concern coloring her words. Before Lisa could reply, the lights flickered, plunging them into darkness. Panic seized her. What the hell? She screamed, reaching for Emily's hand. In that moment, the power surged back, but the oppressive weight of silence replaced it. A familiar sound echoed, a low, mocking laugh just beyond their door. They exchanged horrified glances, and Lisa's breathing quickened. He's here, she thought, terror clawing at her throat. How had he found her? The knock came again, harder this time. Lisa. Mr. Caldwell's voice slithered through the reinforced door. Open up, dear. We need to talk. Something primal within her urged to run, but she felt rooted in place. The wolf was closer than she thought, and desperation clawed at her insides. Would they survive the night? As the laughter grew louder, echoing with chilling clarity, Lisa closed her eyes, praying for dawn to come. But deep down, she understood, there would be no safety in the light anymore. And then, her phone buzzed again, lighting up the horror with the next sinister message. You. V kept me waiting too long. The silence was almost deafening after that last message. Lisa's heart raced, each thud echoing in her ears like a war drum drowning out the storm brewing outside. The air felt thick, laced with fear and anticipation. Did you see that? Emily's voice was tense, her eyes wide with terror as she pointed at the now glowing phone. What does it mean? Lisa gripped the device tightly, her knuckles whitening. I don't know. We need to get out of here. Panic bubbled in her throat, and she felt the need to escape clawing at her insides. But where could they go? Suddenly, another knock shattered the fragile calm, this one accompanied by a heavy scratch that sent chills down Lisa's spine. The sound was like nails on a chalkboard, relentless and grating against her sanity. Lisa, Mr. Caldwell's voice slithered in again, deeper and more insistent. Open the door, my dear. Please don't let him in, Emily whispered, squeezing Lisa's hand until her fingers felt numb. We have to think. Lisa's voice trembled. She pulled away from the door and hurried to the kitchen, rummaging through drawers until her fingers grazed the cold steel of a knife. It felt heavy and comforting in her palm, a lifeline cast into the sea of dread. The lights flickered again, teasing the darkness that threatened to consume them whole. We can barricade the door, Emily suggested, her voice shaky but urgent. The windows too. Lisa nodded, moving to the sofa, dragging it with all her might to the front door. The structure squealed against the wood floor as she shoved it in place, her breaths coming in shallow gasps. Emily joined, pushing a coffee table and other furniture against the door, their hearts pounding together in frantic rhythm. As they secured their makeshift refuge, Lisa's mind whirred with questions. Why was Mr. Caldwell targeting her? What did he want? The whispered warnings and sinister laughter only deepened the mystery, painting him as a figure woven into the very fabric of her life, the wolf that hunted the helpless. Do you think he can get in? Emily's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. Lisa pressed her ear to the door, listening intently. She could hear the soft rustle outside, like branches scratching against glass. Imagining him wandering around her house sent icy fingers crawling up her spine. I don't know, but we need to be ready. Suddenly, the lights went out again, plunging them into a suffocating darkness. Panic flared in Lisa's chest, her breathing becoming erratic. Emily. She whispered, swallowing hard, desperately trying to keep her voice steady. I'm here, Emily whispered back, the panic barely masked. They fumbled, reaching for one another until their fingers intertwined, a tether to sanity in the chaos. But then came that laugh again, low and dark, skimming the edges of the silent night. Such a shame, Caldwell mused from the darkness, his tone teasing. You both are making this so much more complicated than it needs to be. Lisa's horror morphed into anger. What do you want? She yelled, the sound echoing off the walls like a desperate challenge to the darkness. Leave us alone. There was a pause before he responded, the silence stretching like a taut wire. I simply want my prize. His voice dripped with menace, and any warmth in the air vanished, leaving a bitter chill in its wake. Prize? Lisa repeated, a tremor in her voice. Emily's grip tightened. The walls seemed to close in, the dim moonlight filtering through the curtains casting grotesque shadows that danced menacingly on the walls. I know about the past, Lisa. And I know that you have something I need, he taunted, his laughter sending shivers spiraling down her spine. In that moment, dread coiled around her heart, squeezing tightly. What did he mean? It was as if he were peering through the very veil of her secrets. In the silence that followed, all Lisa could hear was the frantic pounding of her heart. The next buzzing interruption broke through the tension, brightening the dark space for just a moment. It was another message. Find out what you've lost before I find it for you. Emily gasped, a shudder racking her body. What does that mean, Lisa? Lisa stared at her phone, the faint glow illuminating her bleached face. She could feel the walls of their reality tightening, pressing closer. But deep down inside, she knew her fears were only beginning to unearth the terrible truth. And as they clung together in that darkness, the chilling thought loomed larger, they were running out of time. What did Mr. Caldwell truly know? And what horrific truths were hidden in the very shadows of her life? The phone buzzed again, jarring them both. Emily's body tensed, her breath hitching as Lisa glanced at the screen. Another message lit up their world momentarily. You can't hide forever. I know where you are. Lisa felt the knife in her hand shift like a lead weight. They had to come up with a plan, but every passing second seemed to fracture her thoughts, scattering them like leaves before a storm. What if we turn off the lights? Leave the kitchen? Emily suggested, her voice trembling on the brink of hysterics. Maybe he won't see us and just stand in the dark. Lisa countered, her heart thumping like a drum of war. He's close. We can't risk it. With growing urgency, the two girls began scanning the room, their eyes darting from shadow to shadow. The scratching noises outside morphed into a rasping, like an animal trying to burrow into flesh. It climbed up Lisa's spine, chilling her blood. Caldwell's voice bobbed and weaved through the air, thick and deliberate, laced with a sickening cheer. You're doing a marvelous job at hiding, but the game is about to change. Time was running out. Without thinking, Lisa yanked open a kitchen drawer, pulling out every weapon she could find: cling wrap, a bottle of oil, plastic spatulas, anything that might buy them time. Emily, help me with these. As they rushed to fortify their barricade, the darkness morphed. Shadows twisted, stretching to chase them, grasping like fingers from the void. The ticking of an invisible clock filled the air, measuring their growing despair. Lisa. Emily's voice trembled again. What do we do if he comes in? Just stay close. We'll fight back if we have to. But even as Lisa spoke, doubt seeped into her resolve. She wasn't sure if they could fend off someone like Caldwell. Every instinct screamed at her to run, yet she felt rooted to the spot. The very house seemed to breathe, suffocating them with its weight of secrets. Suddenly, the lights flickered back to life for a heartbeat, illuminating the edges of the room, revealing the furniture piled high against the door. The girls froze, staring in disbelief. Mr. Caldwell stood just beyond the threshold, dimly silhouetted in the unlit exterior, a dark form surrounded by an unnatural stillness that turned the air electric. A little more interesting now, don't you think? He smiled, though Lisa couldn't see his face. She felt the grin through the silence. What do you want from us? Lisa demanded, trembling but defiant. His laugh was deep, echoing like thunder. Forgive my intrusion, but I must say I'm eager to play. With that, the room was engulfed in darkness once more. The lights fizzled, leaving them held in suffocating blackness. Cold dread wrapped around them, twisting tighter than their barricade. Move! We have to. Lisa started, but was interrupted by a crash. Something had hit the window, shattering the momentary fear of the doorway. Heart hammering wildly, they exchanged panicked glances, each silently counting down the seconds until the storm of terror would break open. Caldwell's voice eased its way back into the void, a low hiss that sliced through their terror. I hope you're ready for the truth because I'm closing in. Then, the phone shrilled. The screen burst to life again, illuminating the shadows with the chilling text, "Your past is about to resurface. Embrace it or suffer the consequences." With renewed terror coursing through her, Lisa realized they were losing control. They had to uncover what Caldwell sought before it was too late. What did she have that could tie her to him? And how could she save them both from the nightmarish web he spun? Lisa felt a cold sweat trickle down her back as the weight of Caldwell's words sank in. She turned to Emily, whose eyes widened with fear, reflecting the same desperate question she couldn't articulate. What was the truth? What does he mean? What past? Emily whispered, her voice quivering in the dark. I don't know. But we can't wait to find out. Lisa hissed back urgently. They had to be smart, quick. Every instinct told her they were on borrowed time. They crept toward the window that had shattered, heartbeats pounding against the heavy silence. Lisa peered through the jagged glass, but the street outside was engulfed in black. The moon hung low, casting an eerie glow on the empty road. Shadows flitted like ghosts, darting just out of sight. Should we go out? Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Are you crazy? Lisa snapped. We need to find a way to trap him or escape. Her breath hitched as another crashing sound came from deeper in the house. It sent jolts of ice through her veins. From the gloom, they heard it, a low, guttural sound, almost like laughter but layered with something sinister. Caldwell was playing with them, toying with their fear like a cat with a mouse. Look! Emily tugged Lisa's arm, pointing to the storage closet. Amidst the chaos, a single, wordless scream echoed louder than their fear. A glimmer caught Lisa's eye, her breath hitched again, a dusty old box, barely visible, hidden behind a pile of junk. She felt an urge pull her toward it. It was like the box was calling her name. We need to check it out. No. It might be a trap, Emily protested, but Lisa was already moving. She opened the closet door, dust swirling in the stale air, and reached for the box. The moment her fingers touched the rough surface, a chill coursed through her. Ignoring Emily's warning voice, Lisa dragged it into the light. The ancient wood creaked like a whisper of secrets long left untouched. As she pried it open, musty air escaped like a phantom. Inside lay a collection of trinkets, forgotten treasures that seemed innocuous at first. But then she noticed a photograph faded, creased but with a face she recognized. A young girl with dark hair and bright eyes, the very likeness of her own reflection. "What is this?" Emily leaned in, her voice trembling. "That's me. I was never this young. This is impossible." Lisa gasped, a wave of dizziness washing over her. Emily's eyes went wide. "But how?" Before she could finish her thought, the lights flickered again. For the briefest moment, they caught the silhouette of Caldwell stepping closer outside. The girls held their breath as dread sank back into their chests. "We need to get back," Lisa urged, pushing the box to the side, but the photograph clutched at her heart, freezing her in place. "Emily, we can't let him in. We have to barricade again." But as they turned, a piercing shriek erupted from the direction of the door. The sound vibrated with raw, untamed terror like the agony of the damned. "Do you hear that?" Emily screamed, clinging to Lisa. "What if it's not just him?" The room shuddered as the walls seemed to pulse, alive with an unseen force. Lisa's heart came to a standstill as pieces of the past collided with the present, revelations swirling in a whirlwind of terror and haunting familiarity. As Caldwell's voice beckoned from the shadows, it became impossible to ignore the truth any longer. What if some past secrets weren't meant to resurface? The air thickened with dread, Lisa's mind raced with the chilling question: what would they unleash if the past took form? "Whatever it is, we have to get that box out of here," she shouted, pulse racing, desperately aware of the darkness closing in. Just then, the front door splintered, shaking the wooden structure like an earthquake. Time ran out, and with it, the fragile hope of understanding what reality loomed between them and Mr. Caldwell. And what truth was waiting to break free. The door exploded inward, splintering wood shards that flew through the air like jagged projectiles. Caldwell slipped through the doorway, a figure cloaked in darkness, eyes glinting with a madness that sent tremors through Lisa's body. "Did you think you could hide from me?" he hissed, an unsettling smile creeping across his face. The laughter that followed was harsh, echoing against the walls like a malevolent spirit unleashed. "Run!" Lisa screamed, grabbing Emily by the arm as they darted for the back exit. The bright glow of the moon was only moments away, but the shadows poured in around them, stalking their escape. With desperate speed, they shoved the door open and stumbled out into the night, hearts pounding, gasping for air as they hit the cold grass. They needed to regroup, to think. There was nowhere to hide out here, not with Caldwell's voice echoing behind them. "Where do we go?" Emily cried out, panic lacing her voice. Shadows danced in the corners of the yard, bending and twisting as if alive. "Over here." Lisa pointed toward a dilapidated shed at the edge of the property, a refuge cloaked in darkness. With Emily's grip tightening around her wrist, they dashed towards it, the sound of footsteps relentlessly pounding behind them. As they slipped inside, Lisa shut the wooden door, pressing her back against it with all her weight, holding her breath. The shed smelled of mildew and rust, but it was a sanctuary at least, for now. "Do you think he saw us?" Emily whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "I don't know. But we have to be quiet," Lisa whispered back, scanning the cramped space. Old tools hung haphazardly along the walls, faint hints of what this place had once been. Suddenly, a clattering sound echoed from outside, a metal can rolling. "He's close," Emily murmured, her hands trembling. They both jumped as Caldwell's shadow appeared at the window, his figure looming like a dark cloud. "You can't escape what you are, Lisa," he called softly, almost soothingly. "The truth is far too powerful." Lisa pressed her fingers against Emily's lips, urging silence. They needed to listen. Each second stretched like thin thread, tense and painfully quiet. Outside, Caldwell paced, his voice dripping with menace. "I can help you understand. Embrace what you've always been scared to face," he taunted, returning to his dark laughter. "What does he mean?" Emily asked, her voice barely more than a breath. "I don't know, but it can't be good," Lisa replied, her eyes darting to the tools on the wall. There had to be something they could use, just then, a mirror behind them caught the moonlight through a filthy window. Lisa froze. "Wait," she whispered, staring into the reflection. She could see Emily, but beside them, a figure flickered in the glass, a girl with familiar dark hair and bright eyes, staring back. "That's me." Lisa's voice trembled. She reached out, fingers brushing the surface, feeling an unnatural cold seep through her skin. "Lisa, no!" Emily cried as the glass rippled, distorting their reflections. The image morphed, and with it, a sickening feeling churned in Lisa's stomach. Faces she couldn't place flashed before her, twisted masks of horror woven into her memories. "Step through," the girl whispered from the mirror, her voice echoing like an ancient chant. "No. We can't." Emily screamed, stepping back. "It's a trick." But Lisa felt drawn to it, the pull chaotically overwhelming. The shadows in the shed trembled, shifting, darkening with each heartbeat. Lisa turned back to find Emily's wide eyes filled with fear. "Get away from it!" Emily shouted, tears brimming, but the urge surged within Lisa. Could this mirror hold the answers? She didn't have the time to think. Before she could rationalize, she leapt forward, arms outstretched toward the impossible void. Then the world spun. As darkness engulfed her, a single scream echoed in the still night. A piercing sound that could only belong to Emily. What lay on the other side? What truth awaited in the depths of the unknown? And were they truly ready to unearth the terror buried in their own destinies? The moment Lisa's fingers touched the mirror, the shimmering surface rippled violently, swallowing her whole. She felt a pull intense, suffocating as the world around her twisted and melted. Then, silence. When she opened her eyes, she was no longer in the shed. Confusion washed over her. The scent of damp earth filled her nostrils, and a dense fog enveloped her like a shroud. Around her, trees stood tall and twisted, their gnarled branches clawing at the sky. The moon broke through the haze, casting an otherworldly glow that illuminated the path ahead. "Emily!" Lisa's voice quivered, echoing into the darkened woods. She tried to steady her racing heart. "Where are you?" No answer. Just the rustle of leaves and the chill in the air. In front of her, the path forked. The air was thick with tension, as if the woods themselves were holding their breath. Should she go left toward the faint light flickering in the distance, or right where darkness seemed to swallow everything whole? She moved forward, uncertainty gnawing at her insides. Her pulse pounded in her ears. Every step felt weighed down by an unseen weight, pulling her back, urging her to turn and flee. But she couldn't. She had to find Emily. As she walked deeper into the woods, the trees began to thin out. Up ahead, she spotted figures huddled together, their heads bowed. Panic surged through her veins as she rushed forward, calling out again for Emily. "Please, you have to help me!" Lisa shouted, her voice cracking. As she approached, the figures raised their heads, all faces she recognized. Friends, acquaintances, even strangers who had once brushed past her in life. But their expressions were hollow, eyes dulled, like marionettes without strings. "Lisa," one of them whispered, their voice brittle as dry leaves. "You shouldn't be here." What is this?" "Where's Emily?" "They can't help you. You're too late." A chill ran down her spine. The words felt like a warning, an echo of dread. She turned, desperately seeking another way, but the forest seemed to shift around her, branches twisting and blocking her escape. The figures stepped closer, their movements jerky and unnatural. Around her, the forest darkened, shadows morphing into creeping tendrils that reached for her. Breath quickening, panic clawing at her chest, Lisa turned to run. "Don't you see? You belong with us," they called, voices weaving into a dissonant chorus. "No. Get away from me." She bolted through the underbrush, branches snagging at her clothes, tearing at her skin, the chorus growing louder behind her. Freedom was out there, somewhere beyond the suffocating darkness. She could feel it. As she pushed through the last line of trees, a clearing opened before her, illuminated by silver moonlight. In the center stood the mirror again, glimmering and inviting. But the pull came with a warning. A shadow flickered behind her, the foreboding figures creeping closer. "Lisa!" Emily shouted from within the mirror, her face pressed against the surface, eyes wild and terrified. "I'm coming." In the split second before the shadows consumed Lisa, she leaped toward the mirror, arms stretching out. The cold glass embraced her, pulling her inside, and as swirling darkness enveloped her again, she heard a voice huskier than the others, low and menacing. "You'll never escape your fate." She exploded back into the shed, gasping for breath, chest heaving. But the shed was different. Darker. The tools on the wall glinted in the low light, but they looked less like tools and more like grotesque instruments of torture. "What just happened?" She breathed, trembling. Emily was nowhere to be seen, and in that moment, a chill swept through Lisa's veins. She could hear the shadows whispering again, closer this time, calling to her. "Lisa, come play." She spun around, heart pounding, desperate for an answer. Could she face the truth ahead? What would it cost her? And deep down, a voice echoed, might it already be too late? The air in the shed felt thicker now, like an invisible weight hanging just above her. Lisa blinked, trying to clear the fog in her mind, but the images of the twisted figures haunted her still. What had they become? And where was Emily? "Get a grip, Lisa," she whispered to herself, trying to steady her trembling hands. The shadows deepened, creeping along the walls, as if eager to close in on her. She needed to move. The door creaked ominously as she pushed it open. Outside, the night seemed more oppressive, suffocating. The trees loomed like dark sentinels, watching her every move. The path where she had first arrived lay ahead, but now it twisted and turned under the heavy canopy of leaves. "Emily," she called softly, hoping her voice wouldn't betray her growing fear. No answer. Only the whispers from the shadows. Determined, she stepped forward, the crunch of gravel under her feet piercing the silence. With every step, she recalled the faces, their vacant stares, twisted smiles. Was Emily among them, trapped forever? The trees began to close in around her, their branches reaching like skeletal fingers overhead. She could hear the whispering now, clearer, more urgent. "Join us, don't resist." Panic quickened her heartbeat. "Leave me alone," she shouted, the words echoing back at her, mocking her desperation. Suddenly, an icy wind rushed through the trees, sending a shiver down her spine. The moonlight flickered, casting erratic shadows that danced across the ground. Lisa stumbled, breath hitching. Was something following her? She glanced back, heart racing. The shadows seemed more solid now, creeping closer, weaving in and out between the trees. Just outside her vision, she could make out the faint outlines of faces, her friends from school, childhood neighbors, all of them looking back with hollow, empty eyes. "Why are you doing this?" Lisa shouted, her voice wavering. "Because you belong to us now," they chorused, their voices ringing in her ears like the tolling of a death bell. She turned to run again, not knowing where she would go, just desperate to escape the darkness closing in around her. But the ground shifted beneath her feet, roots grasping at her ankles like hands pulling her back. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of dread, threatening to drown her in despair. Then she saw it, the mirror's shimmering surface reflecting the dim light of the moon, standing alone in a clearing not far from where she stood. It beckoned her, promising a way out, a chance to find Emily. "Lisa!" a distant voice called. It was Emily. But the moment was fleeting, as shadowy figures lunged at her from the dark. She had to make a choice. Should she trust the mirror again? Was it a portal to salvation, or another trap waiting to ensnare her? With the shadows clawing at her heels, Lisa broke into a furious sprint toward the clearing. The mirror loomed closer, but the whispers grew deafening, filling her mind with doubt. "Don't go. Once you enter, you can't escape." As she reached the edge, she hesitated. A shroud of darkness surrounded the mirror, thick and choking. But Emily's voice pierced through the terror, a lifeline in the dark. "Lisa! Help me!" She hurled herself forward, arm extended, ready to grasp the glass. Then she felt icy fingers wrap around her wrist, tugging her backward. The world tilted violently as she loomed over the abyss between the mirror and the shadows. With a surge of willpower, she ripped her arm free, throwing herself through the shimmering surface just as the darkness lunged. But as she landed, gasping on the cold ground, everything felt wrong. The air hummed with a sinister energy. The silver light faded, leaving her in complete darkness. "Emily!" she called, heart pounding. Only silence answered her. What had she just leapt into? The weight of dread pushed against her, chilling her to the bone. Suddenly, a low, guttural laugh echoed around her, piercing the silence. "You think you've escaped?" With a jolt, she recognized that laugh. It was Emily's. "What did you do to her?" Lisa cried, desperation clawing at her throat. "Welcome to your new home," the voice taunted, only to dissolve into Disney-like giggles. A chill crept up her spine as she turned, fear flooding her senses. In the shadows, something stirred. Was it too late to save Emily? And worse, was she already ensnared in something far darker? All around her, the silhouette of the world twisted and warped, leaving Lisa with only one haunting question: what had she awakened? The darkness felt alive, coiling around Lisa as the laughter faded into unsettling silence. She strained her eyes, but the void offered no clarity, just a suffocating blackness that pressed against her head. Fear clawed at her chest, making it hard to breathe. "Emily!" she whispered again, heart racing. "Where are you? Please, say something." Silence echoed back, a mocking reminder of her isolation. The chill deepened, almost tangible, making her shiver. She moved, slowly at first, reaching out into the darkness, hoping to grasp something, anything that would anchor her. The ground beneath her was uneven, dirt and roots tangling with her legs. She stumbled, landing hard on her knees. The sensation of damp earth seeped through her clothes, grounding her in the moment, but also bringing a wave of creeping dread. This wasn't the place she had intended to find. This wasn't safety. "Lisa!" The voice was faint, barely more than an echo. It sent ripples of hope and trepidation through her. "Emily!" She scrambled to her feet, adrenaline propelling her forward. "Where are you? I can hear you. Help me!" The voice morphed into a desperate plea, ringing with an edge of panic that set Lisa's heart racing anew. Lisa pressed onward, the sound of her breath loud against the oppressive stillness. She strained to listen, fighting the urge to retreat back through the mirror. What if she couldn't find her? What if this shadowy realm was swallowing her forever? She stumbled into something, a wall. Smooth and cold, an unnatural surface against her fingertips. "Breathe." She leaned close, trying to hear through the stillness. But instead of comforting whispers, a cacophony of anguished cries erupted all around her. They grew in intensity, closing in like an invisible storm. Shadows flickered almost mockingly at the edges of her vision, taunting her. "Leave us, leave while you can know," she shouted, desperation giving her voice strength. "I won't abandon her. I'll find Emily." As if in response, the shadows twisted further, swallowing the light and pushing her to her knees again. It felt like they were grasping at her, trying to pull her back into the deep void where they wanted her to belong. She gritted her teeth, refusing to succumb to the temptation to flee. Then she felt a hand. Cold as ice, it wrapped around her wrist. "Lisa!" The voice was distinct now, an echo of her friend's undeniable fear. "Emily!" "It's dark, I'm here," Emily replied, weakening with every syllable. The touch sent a jolt through Lisa, igniting a flicker of defiance in her heart. With a surge of energy, Lisa twisted, trying to break free from the unseen forces tugging at her. "I'll find you, I promise." Light flickered briefly, illuminating a distorted silhouette not too far away. Hope surged as Lisa caught a glimpse of a figure caught in the shadows. "Emily! Hold on." But the figure began to dissolve into the dark murk. A shriek echoed, a sound that sent a chill racing down Lisa's spine. "Don't listen to her. You can't save her." The voices intertwined, filling her head with anguish. The ground beneath her shook, roots reaching up like gnarled fingers trying to drag her down. No. Lisa pushed against the darkness, but it was relentless. She raised her voice, shouting against the howl. I am not afraid of you. Suddenly, the energy shifted. A wind swirled around her, displacing the shadows. It carved a path forward. Desperation fueled her as she dashed into the brief flicker of light. What lay ahead? Was it freedom or damnation? As she reached the distorted edge of the clearing, she stopped, breath caught in her throat. There, amidst the approaching darkness, was a figure cloaked in shadow, an ominous outline of something otherworldly, grinning with a familiar face. A twisted version of Emily. Join us, Lisa. With those words, the weight of her choice loomed over her. What would she sacrifice to save her friend? Was this truly Emily or a reflection of what she feared most? With her heart pounding, Lisa hesitated, the darkness beginning to encroach once more. What decision would she make before it all crumbled? Away. Lisa's heart pounded like a drum, echoing against the swirling darkness. That twisted version of Emily, with its hollow eyes and sinister grin, made every hair on her body stand on end. Join us, Lisa. The words hung in the air, wrapping around her like a suffocating shroud. No. She screamed, clenching her fists in defiance. You're not her. The shadow flickered, its grim smile wavering. But I am what you fear, Lisa. You cannot escape the truth. The chilling realization shot through her. It was a reflection not just of Emily, but of her own doubts and darkest fears. Memories raced through her mind, fragile childhood moments and laughter twisted into nightmares. The past was clawing its way to the surface. Lisa steadied herself. She couldn't let the darkness take her. Emily needed her now more than ever. I'm not afraid of you. She charged forward, thoughts of the real Emily grounding her. No matter how twisted this shadow was, it was still tethered to her friend, and Lisa wouldn't abandon that bond. Let her go. She yelled, determination lighting her way through the blinding darkness. With every step, the shadows roared, hissing feedback from her fears and doubts, but she pressed onward. Emily. I'm coming. Just as she reached the melting figure, the shadow lunged. It stretched, clawed hands grasping at her, seeking to pull her into that haunting turmoil. Lisa braced herself, summoning every ounce of strength she had. No. She thundered, the word tearing from her throat. Her hand shot out, grasping the cold darkness, and in an instant, the shadows recoiled as if struck. Light flickered momentarily, revealing glimpses of the real Emily, trapped behind that warped visage. Help me, Lisa. Emily cried, her voice filled with desperation, thinly veiled behind layers of darkness. I'm here. Lisa's voice trembled, but she fought through it. Just hold on. Harnessing the last remnants of her strength, Lisa planted her feet firmly and screamed truth into the void. We are friends. We've faced darkness before and we didn't flinch. The shadow pulsed at her words, its form wavering, twisting and curling as if the light was fighting for dominance. Together. Whispered memories of laughter lingered in her mind. We face this together. With a final surge, Lisa leapt toward the flickering figure of Emily, her heart pounding, fueled by hope and brotherhood. The world erupted around her as she burst through the dark barrier, pushing against the shadows with every ounce of willpower. Light flooded her senses as she breached the surface. There, standing amidst the glow, was Emily, panic etched across her features. Lisa. Emily gasped, reaching out as Lisa stumbled out of the darkness. With a surge of warmth rushing back into her, Lisa collapsed into her friend's arms. I'm here. I found you. The hold of the shadows faded into hollow whispers, retreating into the backs of their minds where all fears belonged. They stood together, radiant against the dark, breathing in relief as the edges of their reality solidified once more. We can't go back there, Emily trembled, looking behind them. We can't let him win. No. Lisa shook her head, her resolve hardening. "We're stronger than him. We'll expose him." The ground beneath them felt familiar, alive with the scent of the earth and grass, like an anchor reminding them they were safe for now. As they turned, a bright light glimmered in the distance, the moon healing the wounds left by shadow and fear. They stepped forward, cautiously moving from the chaos of the night to chase the dawn. "The truth isn't as terrifying as it seems when we face it together," Lisa said softly, glancing at Emily. "They've been through hell and back, bound by love, terror, and an indomitable spirit." Together, Emily echoed, as they ventured toward the light, hand in hand, they would uncover the truths hidden in their past. The dark, painful secrets of Mr. Caldwell looming in the shadows would finally find the light. With a shaky, yet determined breath, Lisa raised her chin, knowing they'd face whatever came next. They were friends and sisters. Stronger together, harboring hope through the darkness. As the dawn kissed the horizon, illuminating their path, they knew that this was just the beginning, not just of the discovery of truth, but a reclamation of their lives. The wolf may have lurked closer than they thought, but now they would hunt it down. They had awakened together, and as true friends, they would never let the shadows win. You made it to the end. If you loved this wild ride, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help other viewers discover these spine-chilling tales. And don't even think about leaving without flooding the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Lastly, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You know you want to spread the thrill. Your support means everything.